A thread by Kyle Becker. The great strategist Sun Tzu instructed, all warfare is based on deception. It appears that our nation's political establishment has declared war on our election system. Instead of demanding transparency and accountability, the US media is aiding this deception. Instead of asking questions about the US election, it is censoring and suppressing them. This is bizarre journalistic behavior. Americans of all political persuasions should be alarmed. While we were sleeping, enemies wheeled in Trojan horses in the form of voting machines. The Greeks built these vessels of ruin based in the Trojan War. We acted foolishly like the Trojans and wheeled them into our counties and precincts without knowing what is in them. What is in them are secretive source codes, undoubtedly stitched together like a Frankenstein's monster. Nothing is stopping us from concluding the voting machines have abnormal brains, regardless of assurance from a DHS private-public partnership functioning as their PR arm. We are just supposed to take Dominion Voting Systems' word that it never used Smartmatic's source codes even after it bought the Smartmatic subsidiary Sequoia in 2010, right as it bought scandal-plagued Diebold Voting Systems, a subsidiary of Premier, in 2010. Sorry. No. Even as they competed, Smartmatic purchased a worldwide license from Dominion. This came out in a 2013 court case. Dominion would have domain over US and Canada, and Smartmatic would work elections elsewhere, like in Venezuela from 2004 to 2017. Link in the thread, casemine.com. ES&S spun off Diebold due to monopoly charges since their systems were in use in 1,400 jurisdictions in 33 states and served nearly 28 million people. ES&S is still the biggest voting system. Along with Dominion, it lobbies both parties heavily. From the New Yorker, how voting machine lobbyists undermine the democratic process. Link in the thread. Democrats have howled for years about private voting systems companies' role in our elections. The liberal media caterwauled about it as well. They only stopped after the 2020 election, for the most part, because they believe they got Trump out of office. Link in the thread, Politico. Forget hanging chads. Copyright laws could be the next electoral quagmire. The US media have failed the American people by refusing to acknowledge all of the errors in the 2020 election have all gone one way, against President Trump. If the parties were reversed, we know how it would go. We saw a version of it with the Russia hoax after 2016. The US media have acted like all of the incredible voting irregularities are all a matter of outrageous coincidence. Biden's election defied decades, even at over 100 years of US election trends. This in the most charged election year in 100 years. The historically low absentee ballot rejection rates, particularly in Pennsylvania and Georgia, the inability to track mass mail-in votes after they are checked, the demonstrated security flaws in voting machine software and poor voting security, such as was demonstrated by missing flash drives that contained Trump's surplus votes in Georgia, as well as misplaced flash drives in Wisconsin and Virginia, missing batches of ballots that was seen in Georgia, in addition to the Fulton County video that showed state farm vote workers wheeling ballots to tabulators, and seemingly on time-stamped video running the same ballots through the tabulators over and over again. From the Federalist, the Georgia vote counting video was not debunked, not even close. The looming question was not even addressed due to the specious fixation on whether or not the ballots were in suitcases. Not the point. Were ballots adjudicated using Dominion software, as was illustrated by a Coffee County, Georgia election supervisor? Link in the thread, gbp.org. Georgia election officials launch inquiry into Coffee County recount. These are questions appropriate to be asking in a banana republic after a federal election. They are not appropriate to be asking in the greatest free country in human history. If we want to remain free, we better take election security more seriously. Benjamin Franklin famously replied to a question if the United States were to be a republic or a monarchy. A republic, if you can keep it. Will ours be the generation that must answer for losing the republic and for squandering our blessed freedom? Edmund Burke pointed out the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. We must not let evil succeed. We therefore must not do nothing. We must be good men and women who will look back with pride for acting on this threat to American freedom.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.